pensions. It's a very interesting topics that I've been having a good debate with my colleagues, and it's always my colleagues trying to help with me that pension is not as important as what we think it is. And funnily enough, right, is that I do think that pension is quite important, especially at our later age. Obviously, people knows that wants pensions, and pensions is something you spend, and like, you know, the money you get at the end of your, I won't say end of your life, but at the end of your career, you would like to slow it down so you have a chunk of money to spend. But people been wondering if 67 is still a good age to enjoy that money. Why don't you or we enjoy the money now? So in this video, I would like to go through some of the pension fun facts in the UK and how I felt about pensions and how I still think that pension plays a very important part at our old age. So the first bit is the basic pensions in the UK, right? I think first topics is to understand that there's a difference between the state pensions and the personal pensions, and loads of people thinking the state pensions is the same as the personal pensions, where they do not want to pay into the personal pensions because you only get like £1,000 in the end, so why pays more into it, which is quite wrong. And I'll be surprising loads of people still thinking that both of them are the same thing. Especially these people are earning 150k a year, my managers, my colleagues, and anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, their ideologies is that the world is coming to an end, there'll be a war coming, why don't you enjoy the money now? Why would I put the money back to the government's hand and they're gonna spend this, all that? My opinion on that is that we should keep a balance, as you mentioned in the beginning of the videos. And I'm currently putting 20% into it, where I feel like it's good balance that for me to spend at the later age. But I would go into the differences between the state pensions and the work pension shortly. So the second part will be about the importance of pensions as well, and knowing the differences between state pensions and the personal pensions, which again we talk about in a minute, is pretty important because they are both different things, and the other one which you can contribute into it and then you can get far more money than people actually think it would be. And it's not just that as well, it's also responsible to society and to yourself at the old age, so that you don't feel like someone owed you something, that you've been working for society for far too long and then in the end you get nothing. But hey, it's everyone has to be responsible to their own life, and pensions is one of the way, I wouldn't say guarantee to become a millionaire, that's not a thing, but guarantee to have an okay, good retirement life, especially in the UK, which I'll talk about now why it's so important for the personal pensions. And personal pensions is something you contribute yourself, and if you're feeling lucky, you invest in the stock market, usually what people are doing, because you can't take the money out until you're 57, right? And state pension is 67. So 57 and 67 is kind of differences already. Doesn't mean if you have a good chunk of personal pension, you could have retired by 57 instead of 67 of the state pension. Anyway, personal pension is not just that as well, is that I think you get tax break as well. So in the UK, thanks to Jeremy Hunt, that the increase from 40,000 to 60,000 does mean before any form of tax, you can put £60,000 into your pension every year, and then that will grow your compounding interest or whatever through your stocks, sharing stocks. That's what my pension is usually on S&P 500. I'm gambling big on that, so that by the time I'm 57, hopefully get £1 million. We never know. And on top of that, I would say is that it's also a good motivator for me. Probably a good motivator because my parents retired quite old. Right, my parents retired at age 70, which is an insane amount of age to be retired on. And since then, I always had the thought to probably retire slightly early. I wouldn't say 40, but 57 is a good age, I would say, especially if DevOps career is still a thing or IT cloud career is still a thing by the time of it. And then yeah, I mean, 57 is probably a good age to wind down everything and start gaming until the end of my life, probably. So the next one is the state pensions, and state pension is quite the one every workforce in the UK, 27 million, I think, that's contributed NI, will get £1,000 by the time they're 67. That £1,000 actually, the tax we paid in our payslip, that's called national insurance. Again, thanks to Jeremy Hunt for the latest budget 2024. He reduced that from 12% to 8%, which is, I would say, is probably a goodies for elections, right? But anyway, hey, still good thanks. But that 4% reduction gained me £1,500 a year, which is a good amount of money, I would say. And Though £1,500 is what we're supposed to get anyway because of the personal allowance froze for since COVID, I think, because they have a debt to pay for the COVID debt. And I would say £1,500 is better than nothing. And all that money will be reinvested back into my personal pensions. And yeah, so genuinely state pensions is pretty self-explanatory, but there are two different things just to remind everyone who's watching my video. If you're watching my video, is that if you just worked without putting any money into your personal pensions, then all you get by 67 is probably £1,000 or £1,500 by the time we are 67. But that's the ultimate difference for it. The next one is planning for future. It's also something that people dislike to talk about in this country, in the UK. Should I say that? It's a bit biased talking about it, but at least my colleagues around it, I would say about good 20 to 30 people, probably 2 of them thinking about personal pensions, how important to their life. That's including me. But the rest of them is more into living in present, and they do not fear, what's happening in 5 years. Rather, they would like to enjoy their life for now, which I respect that, and that's personal opinions of how people want to live their life. But ultimately, I still think that we should be responsible for our life, not asking to put 100% of the money in pensions, but put a good significant amount of money in the pensions. And I would say try to aim at least 20% of it. If you're in 40% tax bracket, if you earn above 60 grand or 50 grand, then put that 10 grand back into your pension, and then 10 grand is actually the government give 25%, and then another 20% on the tax breaks of whatever. But I'll make another video to talk about taxes in the UK, more details, but I've probably tons of video in the YouTube that talks about the taxes in the UK a lot better than me explaining stuff, especially I'm a migrant and a foreigner as well. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the video. It's a pretty short video about pension. It's a bit of my rumble, it's a bit of moan, because how my colleagues been telling me how not important pension is, which is funnily enough. But my ultimate conclusion and my personal opinion is that I will continue contributing 20% to my personal pensions, investing that in the S&P 500. Whether there's a war, whether there's a crash in the market or whatever that's happening, I don't think I will look into that. The money I'll put into the pension, and I'll just let it do its work, right? I also at the same time heard a lot of people been saying that, and then 20 years later they're now ending up in the street, especially during COVID. There's no extra incomes coming. It's a pretty grim situation to be in. And when I think about it, it is a situation I do not want to be in myself, so that I will scheme a little bit myself so that I will buy one less game or having feel less takeaway, and then that money will go to my pension. And hopefully by the time I'm 57, I will have enough money to retire, or have enough money to do less work, because there's just too many side hustles I'm doing right now just to trying out in my 30s. But yeah, so that's the end of my video, how I think about pension in the UK. Hopefully this video helped or useful. If you're watching this video, leave a comment down below, give me a like if you like the video, or subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more about my life in the UK as a migrant, how I grew from 0 to 100k, and part-time software engineering course in Oxford University, and all of that mixes together. Hopefully that will interest you, I think. And then I will see you next time.